talking, and then we'll start talking. Welcome to Section 31, episode number 384. I'm Dan Hammond.
And I'm Rogue Schindler.
We interrupt this discussion of what we were going to talk about to actually talk about what we're going to talk about. So, it's been a while.
Seems fair.
It's been a few weeks. I was on a boat. I played a lot of games. You went to a tournament. We can talk about that.
I did. I played less games, but it was fun. We had our 1E regional at Johnny's house for reasons that you were aware of that I did not know until they described them to me, which is I'm glad I found out before I drove by and saw the hole where Arby's used to be.
Yeah, they tore down the Arby's. Not symbolic at all of the state of the Star Trek card game in San Diego.
Well, and much like our Star Trek games, they promise they're going to rebuild it. Sure, it'll be fine.
Right.
But no, that was fun. It was me and Thomas and Johnny and JD. We had a perfect 4 for. Nice. We did TNG sealed draft. Sealed draft. Those are mutually exclusive, I guess.
Did you draft packs?
We drafted packs. We drafted. So we got the updated TNG starters, which we. I guess they've done on a rotation earlier in previous year tournaments, and they're like, let's try something new. Let's just randomly pick whatever we get, instead of making sure everybody, there's one of each and then one double. So we ended up with 2 Feds and 2 Klingons.
Oh, instead of potentially Romulans and Ferengi. And you're gone. All right. Well, here's hoping you come back, because that's what we were going to talk about this show. Right. All right. Well, in the meantime, I'm going to fill some space. So I was on a boat and I played a couple of games. One of them, Rogue bought his own copy of this game called Pairs. Want to say this was a gift from back a couple of Gen Cons ago. It was in one of the goodie bags from a Concert Against Humanity, because I think it came when it was sealed up. It had a little sticker that said, "Hey, you can use Cards Against Humanity as a coupon code for buying things." Let me just add Sir Rogue back to this and see what happens. Right. Anyway, this game called Pairs is pretty quick. It's taken over as our quick game that we play while we're waiting for everyone else to show up. This deck was themed as Name of the Wind, and I don't know if I see a copyright done on here, but it's got to be at least 3 years old. I never pulled it out till we went on this boat ride. The deck is made from a bunch of cards that are numbered. Everyone just has a single number. There's no suits or anything. This deck has 1 1, 2 2s, 3 3s, 4 4s, all the way up to 10s. It has 10 10s. And the object of the game is to not take pairs, and you keep drawing cards off the deck until you get a pair, and then you score that many points. Or you can choose not to draw and take points based on what you see on the table. It is fast. It is easy to score if you got some dice. And it's a lot of fun because everyone can see what decisions you have to make and can comment on them while it's ongoing. It looks like Rogue is trying to come back, but I don't see him. All I see is his picture. Are you there, Rogue? Take that as a no. The other game we played, now there are 2 of them. That's a Rogue.
Hey. So plugging in the hardline internet seems like a good idea to get a stronger connection for the video call, right up until your cat comes up and jostles the apparently more tenuous than I expected placement of the wire. In any case,
there's a lot of things you could do. I think there was
101 of them.
Yeah. I was explaining Pairs, but you were in the middle of the tournament description. So there were 2 Klingons and 2 Federation. Is that what you said?
Yep. And so we just started with those starters, and we drafted 4 packs of white border and 2 virtual packs. And so, there was some contention for some Feds and some Romulan or some Klingons. I think JD went ahead and picked up some Romulans and a treaty, just hoping he would be able to, draw into it and play it. I did a little bit, but I don't think I got enough support to bother. But man, we joke about White Border, but the improved virtual draft packs that we had were just garbage, just so useless. Whoever is in charge of that needs to turn off whatever function includes the starter deck cards. Because we got so many of those. It was like 50 to 60% in each pack, and then another, 15 to 25% garbage verbs that we didn't need. And so it was just, almost could have just gone without the White Border packs. I think I kept 1 or 2 virtual cards.
You saying White Border packs? You're talking about the virtual packs?
No, White Border, sealed printed White Border packs were much better than the 2 virtual TNG packs that we had added to. Just very disappointing. Also disappointing was the fact that I pulled what I think Johnny was referring to when he said, I know what the best card in this format is. I have the opinion that there is one, and got my Traveler in my first pack and didn't draw it all day. Didn't even see it. Not even like I didn't get to play it. Never even saw it.
I want to say I picked up Fajo and the Traveler in the tin draft, and they served me very well over the course of a couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much of that format is just I'll play, I'll draw, I'll play, I'll draw, or I played my, skill guy, I'll draw another one, but just a lot of build up. So having that would have been really nice, but it was not. In any case, it was still pretty fun. I made some really crucial errors, both in deck building, mostly in drafting. We looked at the starters ahead of time. I was like, oh, cool. The starters are really nice. There's 18 dilemmas. There's 6 3-card combos already. So I'm like, all right, cool. 18 dilemmas. That's what you need, right? That's a good number of dilemmas. Mentally thinking of constructed.
Right.
And that
where you have 12 seed cards.
Right. And I was like, if I see better dilemmas, I will grab them, but I don't need to stress so much about grabbing as many extra dilemmas. No, that was erroneous.
What there's an outpost, there's a continuing mission that fetches your other card, and then there's attention all hands, maybe.
Yeah, both. Yeah. JD and I both did that. We counted our fetched card as a seed card, and we're like, oh wait, nope, that's downloaded, so that's another. So I had like 5 misseeds just to pad things out.
Sure.
It was still okay. I mean, it still was enough to like, oh, I don't want to go over there, but not necessarily, good for keeping people off. As it was, I still managed to go 2-1 on the day, only losing to Johnny in a game that, again, horrible mental mistake. Just, I guess, being away from the game too long, not mentally thinking about it. When your brain does a calculation twice, you start thinking about the post result, and then you're like, wait a minute, I haven't calculated that, and then you do the division again. So, it's Klingon on Klingon. We knew we could fight each other. We were being very, kind of tentative against it. I knew I had packed a bunch of ships and a bunch of leaders, should the need arise, because that's the Klingon's best strength in that format. And for some reason, I was like, okay, there's his outpost. It's within range. It's 1 turn range away from my ships. I got ships in my hand. I got people in my hand. His shields are 32. So they add 16 to the ship plus 1. 17 is more than half. And somewhere in my mental calculations, I planted it. I hooked onto 17 as the number I needed to beat or meet, as opposed to
the actual shields plus half.
Yes, the shields plus half, or
right.
or greater than 32 to hit his outpost. And so I sat there and I stared at it for way too long and been like, I mean, this is if I can do it, it's the play, right? It's the regional. I hate to be that guy, but I also would, not want to not win the game and, agonizing over literally nothing, as it turns out. I finally moved over there. I'm like, okay. And I counted everything up. I'm like, here we go. Leaders, total. I got 19 weapons. He's like, okay, I have 32 shields. Like, yes, you do. And so then he was like, all right, well, I'll draw to end. And then he turns around and he does the exact same thing where he like calculates out what he needs and what's going to happen. He's like, and finally he comes to the same conclusion I did, which is, if I do this, we're just going to sit here all day trading shots and nothing's going to get done. And I'm like, yeah, if you attack me, I probably have to attack you back. Because then, something will be damaged and I'll...
Right, you won't be docked so you can actually hit him.
Yeah. And then I'll be damaged and you'll want to finish me off. And so he went off and did his thing and I went back to doing my thing and we did that for a while. And I made the mistake of getting in the mindset of, okay, I'm doing missions then, and getting too far back into range with just one ship and all my people, and he came and blew it all up. And so, yeah, that was pretty much it.
Dope.
Yeah.
So you went over and launched an ineffective attack, and then stopped paying attention, and he came over and launched an actual effective attack.
Yep. That's about right. Which is disappointing because I was actually doing pretty well. I think I was edging him out in success mission wise. But that doesn't mean anything if you don't have any people.
Right.
Speaking of not having any people, I played Thomas.
What?
I played against Thomas, and like 3/4 of the way through the game, I made my comment because it was the last game of the day at JD, because he's the one I could see across to the other table. I was like, well, another game against Thomas, another game where all my missions are cleared out but unsolved, and I have no one left to attempt them. Because he just attritioned the crap out of me.
Yeah, I imagine so.
I did finally get to play another card that I thought was good, and it was like, I have not only not played it all day, but had it in hand and not had a valid target to play my Kevin Uxbridge. Just because there's not like, nobody else played a Kivas, nobody else got a Traveler. Nobody else played any events. I was waiting for a QNet or something. It was never, out. And like somebody played a QNet and I was like, and I'm like, oh, I can get by that. And you can't. So I guess I'll leave it there.
Oops.
But Thomas did eventually solve and recover and then play as an event on his ship, the Kurlan Noskos.
Yay!
And so I was like, he's like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna, get a civilian or a VIP, but I was like, I'll play it. And I was like, well, I have a target and it's just sitting here in my hand, so I guess I'll cancel that. Oh, I guess somebody hates fun. Which I've been quoting since then. It was so funny. It was the quote of the day. Because it would have been hilarious if he had stacked it all up on his Federation ship. I wouldn't have attacked him anymore. And he would have had range to go all over the place. But I still don't know how he would pull it off. But in the end, we had the same problem. We had both cleared out a bunch of missions and couldn't solve them. And it was a matter of who drew the right personnel first. And I managed to edge him out. But it was a great time. We had lots of fun drafting. We had lots of fun playing. Johnny had TNG on the giant TV in the background the whole time. Started with Best of Both Worlds and just kept going into season 4, with the exception of him. Like, he just couldn't take it anymore. He's like, well, we're in the middle of the game. I'm not going to change the episode. But at one point, he's like, I got to turn this off in the middle of hero worship.
Oh, my. Okay. I just can't stand that one, huh?
Yeah. So that was a really good time. We got, the regional promo. That was it. And I think Johnny had special prizes that he added, which was I finally got to add another rotation marker to my collection.
Nice. Very nice.
So it was a very generous addition to the prize pool of him. So that was fun. We all showed up shortly after lunch. I actually had some friends in town and narrowly got to visit them right before that. And I was like, can we push it just half an hour? And they were all very gracious to do that. I mean, we wouldn't have a tournament otherwise, but still, I didn't want to be like, make everybody wait. So, but that was very nice of everybody to push. And we still got done in plenty of time. Everybody got home in time for dinner. So it was a really good day. It almost made me think about it coming out for 2E. But
it's 2E draft as well?
No. So I'm not going to put any that extracurricular effort into it.
Sure.
If I could show up and do it, then maybe. But still, had a really good time. I was excited to see everybody, and look forward to doing it again.
You can ask Johnny to make you a big fat deck, or
could
ask Thomas to make you one of his weird decks.
I don't think Thomas is going either. He doesn't want to play.
Yeah, fair enough. You should make each other decks.
Isn't that a tournament format?
Yeah, but
better lucky than good or something.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
something.
Better. I didn't know they do standard orbit, but that's just you just eventually get back to your own deck.
Yeah.
Better lucky than good. Yeah, I think you're right. All right. Well, did Johnny end up winning? He beat you?
He did. He beat me, and he had full wins instead of time wins, which edged out some kind of differential. That's not right, because I got second. So yeah, Johnny won, and I got second. And I don't remember who won between Thomas and JD, but everybody had a good time. And we, JD got his treaty out more often than not, which was kind of surprising. And
that's pretty cool.
Got his people to work together. So, that was a win for him. And yeah, it was fun. Good day.
All right. I look forward to hearing when the next one's going to be.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'd like to make it out to another 1E tournament. I don't know if I'd make it to the 2E. I think that's also on we're approaching the weekend, the time of the year where I've got softball tournaments in all parts of the South California. So Saturdays and Sundays are pretty much booked. Starting with this weekend. I did not make the last tournament because I was on my way to the airport to go fly to Seattle to get on a boat and have a gaming cruise. It was just myself and my wife and Brian and his wife, so it was kind of a smaller party, but we got to play. I was talking about pairs a little bit before. I managed to get all four of us playing pairs a bunch.
Nice.
That was great, kind of an after-dinner relaxing something to do. I also played a couple of new games. I played Scythe. That's one of Brian's pretty complex looking. It's a lot of tokens. I mean, I think we got more people asking what it was than we were playing Gloomhaven, which is
wow.
Well, it's because it's got the mechs that you put on the board and just little tokens everywhere. There's all kinds of resources. It was very interesting. Have you played this before or seen it?
I have heard of it. I have not played it. I've heard good things.
It's
interested in trying
premise.
it out.
It's imagine like Castle Risk, that board, kind of not really, but that kind of era. Except now we have mechs and robot legs and farmers, and they're harvesting things to make bigger mechs. And you've got someone. I had a guy on a buffalo. I think Brian had a guy in a bear, maybe next to a bear. I don't know. It was an interesting game. We kind of it's very interesting in that the rules say, all right, this is super complicated. If you've never played before, here's what to do on turn 1, 3, and 5. And it kind of fill in the gaps. You do this, and then on turn 2, do something from this list that your opponent didn't do, and then do something on the list that you haven't done yet, because you get to choose which of I think 3 or 4 general things you want to do. That kind of dictates your turn, and you can't do the same thing twice in a row. And it's a race to get kind of victory points, and whoever gets to like 5 victory points first wins. And you can get a victory point by doing any one of like 7 or 8 or 10 things. So it's a lot of times you're racing against the opponent for one victory point thing, but a lot of times you're doing something completely different. And you know, in our game, it was only 2 players. You can play up to 5 players or 6 players, something like that.
Wow.
I wasn't competing against him on this, and you get mission cards. That's one of the things you can get if you get one of the 2. You get a point. Just popularity and military might and putting buildings on the board and putting all your mechs on the board. It was a lot of different things. You also get random events if you send your leader out to unexplored areas. I tell you what, every event that I got furthered one of my goals, and it was the best random luck I couldn't have picked. Had I known what I was doing from the beginning, I couldn't have picked better all the things that could have happened. And I ended up completely destroying Brian. He didn't get any victory points, and I got like all 5 of mine.
Oh, wow.
He was poised to get a bunch, but it worked out that everything I did fed into something else.
Thanks for teaching me your new game.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. That day, I think we learned a couple of games, and we played a couple of games, and it was everything was falling in my favor. I think I won everything that day. Where I was like, that's how it goes sometimes. So that was funny. It was interesting. I think I found it very swingy because everything swung in my favor, and if things hadn't swung in my favor, we probably, who knows what would have happened. It will be interesting to also play with more than 2 players, because the field is divided into a bunch of hexes, and the more people that are fighting for resources, you actually have combats and things like that. So
sure,
that'll be interesting. I'm sure we'll bring that out one of our Friday nights when we're not running a game. So that'll be fun. The other game I played is this Keyforge. Keyforge is a newish game. Fantasy Flight put it out, designed by this Richard Garfield guy. Have you heard anything about this?
No.
It's there. Here's the shtick. Down at the bottom left of the card, there's a name. I think my camera's going to be able to pick that up. Oh, wait, almost focused.
Miasma.
Yeah, that's the name of the card. Down at the bottom corner there, where you usually have product info,
I can certainly see there's text of some kind there.
This says, Sir Arn, in quotes, Sir Hyena Woo. That is the name of my deck. It is also written on the back of every card. Arthur Sir Hyena Woo. Here's the Arthur Sir Hyena Woo deck list. Every deck that you buy has a randomized name and a preset deck. So that was one. This one is Omspore, the Golden Bazaar Empiricist. Whatever. When you buy a deck, it's unique. All the cards in this deck are one of a kind. They're not one of. There's a 400 card set. This is 37 cards out of it, and no one else has this deck. This deck is unique. You can't mix and match cards, so I can't put these 2 decks together and make a better deck. You play with what you got, and that's it. And if you don't like this deck, you go buy another one. These 2 decks play together, and again on the day, I end up beating up Brian over and over again. But there are ways for you to handicap one deck if it's beating up on the other one too much. You put a little handicap on it, and then they're better balanced. The play is pretty quick. You're trying to get enough of a certain resource. All the other things you do build up to that resource, and you have to forge 3 keys, Keyforge, over the course of the game. And whoever makes the 3rd key first wins. And there's several factions. Your deck is 3 factions, and the gameplay is on the beginning of your turn. You name a faction, and you've got a handful of like 5 cards or 7 cards, and you can play all the cards and do all the abilities of those factions in play. So let's say this was a Star Trek game, and I'm playing a Federation Klingon Romulan deck. I've got a handful of personnel and ships on the top board. At the beginning of my turn, I'd say, okay, this turn I'm going to Federation. I can play any Federation cards in my hand. I can move any Federation personnel on the board, but I can't use the other 2 affiliations. On my next turn, maybe I choose Federation again. Maybe I choose Romulan. Maybe I got a handful of Romulan cards. I play all those and do all those things. They don't work together unless you play cards that reference you can use on this turn some other faction's card. So it's an interesting planning kind of a game. But I will say I had a good time, not just because I won 2 or 3 games, but the first game we were kind of figuring things out. The second game was like, oh, this is a good combo. This works together. A couple of the cards I had put cards out of play, and you endlessly recycle your deck when you run out of cards. So by the end of the game, it was like, okay, I'm down to 2 factions, and one of them uses the other faction. So I can play all my cards every turn, and it's just constantly cycling, and it was fantastic. Whereas Brian had some really heavy hitters, and every once in a while you'd get one big turn where you do a lot of stuff, but then you'd have to rebuild and wait and wait and wait. I don't know if I'm going to buy more, and it's a little bit too complicated, I think, for my kids at this point. But soon, I don't know. It's going to go on the shelf. Brian's going to. He said he was going to buy one, so we'll have 3 decks to play. I think it's 1 versus 1. We didn't see any rules for multiplayer, but it could be fun. It is certainly a different business model where the deck name is printed on the back of every card, so you can't mix and match. It's not a customizable card game at all. It is I don't know what they call it.
Makes me think of Brawl.
Yes.
But far more complicated.
Yeah, certainly. And if Brawl were infinitely diverse and you get different names for every deck, yeah, that's a good poll. I like that. Anyway, it was fun. We pulled it out to play on the first day and opened it up, and we're looking at the cards, and we realized that these decks, there are no rules in here.
Oh no!
Yeah. It was a big learn to play starter thing with like 2 decks like this, and then 2, and it had all the learn to play stuff. So all right, well, I guess we'll try this again next time we're in a port and have internet access. And I think toward the end of our trip, we had each downloaded the rules, and we were able to read through it and play. So that was fun. Let's see, we played this new Ticket to Ride I got, Netherlands. We played that twice. That was fun. We got all 4 of us to play that.
Nice.
We got some Sushi Go. That was fun. I'm looking behind me. We didn't get Forbidden Island. I think that was one of like 2 or 3 games. I bought a bunch of Magic packs. We didn't crack any of those, but we did play a lot of Gloomhaven. That was fantastic. I think we started each day with like a round of Gloomhaven, and if it went well, or if it didn't went well, we played another round. And if that went well, we were like, all right, that was great for today. And if it went poorly, we tried generally one more time. And
I saw your update as you came into port periodically to the party tracking sheet, and it was pretty brutal.
Yeah, I think we failed at least 3, and I think we might have passed 3, which is tough because I think we did one adventure and we failed. We did it again and just beat it. We went on. There was one that we had marked on our spreadsheet that says, "Do this next. It advanced the plot." And we tried it and we failed. And we tried it again. After we leveled up, we failed again. Yeah. I think, that might have been before we leveled up. I think the one that we failed, we went and did something else and then leveled up and came back and beat it. We played another one that was just brutal. We managed to just make it to the end. I think it was an interesting scenario in that there's just a cavern with a bunch of side rooms, and the goal was to open all the doors, not necessarily beat everything, just open the doors. And man, we started in one room, we fought through it, we went to the next room, we fought through it, and we realized, all right, this isn't going to last. We're just going to have to sprint from here on out. And we just went around opening all the doors, and everything was following us, and it was just getting brutal. And we opened the last door, and that was it. We were able to survive. But also,
I'm going to open this door and turn invisible.
Yeah, well, neither of us. It was not a good party for really anything. I was kind of janky, and he was kind of janky, and it was, yeah. We did 2 scenarios and left chests unopened, so we can go back and do those. That's great, but there was just no way to get to them. Yeah, that ooze level, the ooze grotto that we got to get past to advance the plot. I don't know. We played it. I guess the only one thing we didn't do is to go back and play it again on an easier level. but we never made it
Oh.
to even the third room out of 2. To the second room, we never finished the second room out of 3. So it was brutal. I guess we'll have another go at it soon. I don't know. I don't know how we're gonna do it.
I will say, like, since you retired,
Yeah,
and since your character retired to Alaska,
that was awesome. My character retired in Alaska, which is fantastic. I'm gonna remember that.
the makeup, particularly the 2-person makeup of your party, is not seem terribly conducive to a 2-player party to do anything.
I think I equated to like a paladin and a handicapped magic user.
Like,
that
is rough. Like, none of you can hit anything hard enough, fast enough, to get by anything. Like,
and we've got a little bit of synergy in that I like when sun is up and he can make sun. But that's really it.
Yeah.
I was making elements for him occasionally, but I swear we would have everything lined up and monster would just randomly eat one of the elements. And it's not like you've got you only need one. All of his stuff was you have to have 2. So either of them disappear and it's all off the table.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah. So, maybe with a third or fourth we can have additional mana potions up so we can make the elements that he needs and get that lined up a little bit. It's a once per game, but if it means, just smoking 2 or 3 enemies in one shot, then it's probably worth it.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes with a third support character.
Oh, geez, that's right.
Yeah. There were a lot of scenarios where, I was like, man, I wish I missed my wolves because I could use that piercing damage right now. Or
yeah.
I
think I have a way to do that.
That'd be great.
We'll have to see.
Yeah. It'll be fun. We'll get a few games in.
Right.
The tours were great. I took we went on a couple of wilderness walks. And it was just amazing forest everywhere. Glacier tours were great. I managed to get off the boat in more than half the stops, which I think is a record for me. The food was fantastic. It was
nice.
It was the one thing that I have to complain about is we were in almost constant contact with the folks back home, and everything was falling apart here.
Oh, right.
So my mother was in town to take care of the kids while we were gone. She got in, damaged her car. Car parts failed because parking outside and rodents ate some cabling.
What?
Smashed into a window. Let's see. Our refrigerator just randomly broke down. Someone came out to fix it, and it broke again the next day. So they were eating out of an ice chest for half a week. There was a long list of just things that went wrong when we were gone. So we were constantly, trying to remotely support and fix things and get things set up for when we return. When we got back, it was like instead of having a nice relaxing day, easing back in, it was okay. No, we got to go refrigerator shopping and get that scheduled. And it was mostly stress-free when we were trying not to think about all the stuff that was going on back at home. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, we're gonna be able to do this again because of all the things that are going wrong.
Yeah.
But I think we're already making plans for probably an earlier in the year. We'll see. We'll have the core group, which is you and me and maybe Brian. I think Brian's gonna be out next year. They've got another vacation plan. We'll chat about what the next year's trip will entail, because I'll certainly be going. I hope we can get something together again because that was fun. It was a great time.
Nice. Well, that sounded like a lot of fun. I'm glad you guys got to at least get some games together. I actually have an Alaskan cruise next month that I'm going on. Not a gaming specific cruise. It's actually some friends are having a destination birthday party trip. But there are a couple other people in the group who are like, hey, if we brought any games, would anybody want to play? And I was like, So it's probably not going to be like Gloomhaven or even Scythe. I think we'll probably like ceiling out around Ticket to Ride. But that's still fun. I'm glad you introduced me to pairs. I got my own pairs deck here after we played on Friday. That was a lot of fun. It turns out as I was surfing Amazon trying to find what the different variations were, that if you go to their website, they actually have a big long list, like 15 or 16 different decks that are mostly cosmetic in their differences, but each one has, it seems, a different variant game that you can play. So that ended up being, I liked a couple of different versions of the art, and I was torn between several of them, like half of them, but I ended up choosing based on the variant game I liked the most. So it'd be cool to have multiple versions of that.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing what that variant is. There's a variant in this one based on it's like they call it an aggressive gambling game. So we'll see how that that plays out.
Yeah,
and they actually did some. When I originally pulled this open, I was looking at the cards. Brian was reading the rules. There's a little section on here about, this is how it fits into the Name of the Wind story. This is the game they play here in these cities. The other game is also from the story, and it's how they play this. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. So
yeah,
I like the artwork, and like I mentioned, I think when you were out, this was a free deck. I think they handed it to. I want to say it was a Cards Against Humanity gift because at the Concert Against Humanity, because it was an insert that said use the Cards Against Humanity as a promotional code when you buy and check out.
Ah, nice.
So, but yeah, it's been sitting on my shelf for a while, and I figured, this is going to be not a lot of people playing. Maybe a lot of 2-player games would be perfect, and it turned out it was great.
Yeah. So that's a good choice. Yeah, I'll have to put some more of those together. Another game that arrived today that I will not be taking, but I'm very excited to dig into more. We've talked about a little bit already as it's been setting up, is we finally got the new adventure card game Pathfinder box. And this is we've been calling it 1.0 1.5 edition because it's not a new edition. It's completely compatible with the other cards. This is the core set, but they restructured how they're releasing it. The core deck box is going to be kind of want to equate it to that core deck that you got with Dominion later. They had here's all the coins and here's all the.
So they have to reprint Cure a bunch
of
times.
Yeah. So it's all the core stuff that you're going to need in every game, and then your flavor box will be separate, and they won't have to reprint that. So this is the flavor box. Look how tiny that is.
So that was something I was looking at when I was, shopping around and trying to decide if I wanted my own copy. What is the storage going to look like? Will all the expansion flavor set fit in the main box?
So I can show you. This is my core box with the first expansion.
Oh, nice.
So this is cards. These are sealed cards, but this is filling, and then there's this whole center section which is wide enough to do cards if you wanted to. I don't know if it would be sleeved cards, but it's also it looks suspiciously. Actually, yeah, it's just wide enough for sleeved cards. So you have a third row if you wanted to line that up. I'm also based on my previous experiences with games like Legendary, this is suspiciously fitting for a half mat if you wanted to roll
put it in the middle.
If you've played like we saw Apocrypha, the ACG, the Pathfinder map is huge, but the Apocrypha map is a little bit smaller and cut in half. So if you buy 2 of them, you can line them up, and it makes the same size mat as the Pathfinder mat, but it's more portable, which is really cool. And if you are only playing with, I think, up to 3 or 4 people, you only need 1 mat. So that's that. I'm really stoked. This is much better, much smaller. You can see the box behind you is huge. This is about a third smaller than that.
Yeah.
And it'll hold, all your stuff. We're not going to need a whole new box for every adventure path. So that's really exciting. I'm excited to not only see that part of it, but see they did a lot of mechanical tightening of the screws to make things a lot cleaner on the cards. And something I haven't really talked about, but I was inspired by in the blog post last week is I'm super excited about Curse of the Crimson Throne as the adventure path. And the reason is not just because it's a pretty fun urban fantasy adventure path. It's all like kind of centered in one big city and the goings on there. But the guy who's leading it, Keith Richman, they brought him in like 5 years ago to when they started working on this as an adventure path. He's run this adventure path like 3 times in the RPG, and he talks about one of the times that he ran it with Tanis and Chad and some of the entertaining shenanigans that occurred in that. I was in that game. I played that game with them. So it was I mean, I've had a couple of those instances, like having gamed with Chad and Tanis and having these card games be brought to life. They're like, I've played Tanis's monk, the Athnol, which she played in a game I played with her where I was a rival monk with her. So that was funny, but odd for me, a little surreal. And this, like, there's a really cool function where you get to become a superhero. It's like a combination Batman and the Man in Black from Princess Bride, where, I am not the Man in Black. I am not the Dread Pirate Rarts. They pass it on down through the generations, and one of them passes it on to you as the character. And that was me in the RPG. So I was like, I want to be the Man in Black again. So I am like, so many things in here are reminiscent of that game, which is one of my favorite RPG experiences. That I'm super excited to see that come back around and play it in the ACG format and get the promo cards from the subscription, which is why it arrived today, which is about a week early. That is also inspired by an event that happened in our game. So I think between the mechanical changes they made tightening this up and having somebody who really loves that adventure path behind it and having that kind of experience, I know like how much Keith really enjoys that format, and it looks like he really did some cool adaptations of the flavor of that game to bring it to the ACG. I'm really excited to play this.
That sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
And that's my box.
That's your box agrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well,
Blackjack.
The other thing that happened over the last weekend was we got our Gen Con events, and ACG is on the list, so we're gonna have to play the heck out of that box to learn how to use it and how it works.
Darn.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was a weird. We chatted a little bit about this already, but there was a weird bit in the description for the Open, which we played in several years now, which has always been fixed. It's always been, here's the box you're going to play, here are the characters you're going to play, here are the things you're going to face, and everybody has the exact same experience because it's that much easier, or it'd be much more difficult if you didn't, to compare scores and notes. Like, I got here faster, but I rode a horse and you rode a bike. So, that's not really a fair comparison. But in the description for this year's Open, it was like, everybody bring your own decks, or you can use one provided. And I'm like, really?
Yeah. There's going to be some weird stuff if it's bring your own deck. I mean, that's just, at least in the past, it's been, the first round you start out with a tier 1, and then you get a tier 3, and then you get a tier 5 or something like that. So they'd still potentially start out weak, but there are classes that get ridiculously nuts, especially when you can pair them up with the boxes that they weren't, no one ever planned on, right?
Yeah. I mean, we had a combo last season that I'm not going to describe in case it's open, that I was like, this only came about because one guy was playing a class that you're not supposed to get to play unless you have this reward, and he was playing it with a promo card that you can only play with that character, and I was playing a character that happened to take advantage of a card that guy has only when he's playing those cards together. And he's like, oh, well, I would never be able to play with that card, but since he has it, he can hand it to me at the beginning of the game and make me invincible.
Yeah, so there's going to be some shenanigans, I think.
Yeah.
Part of me is hoping that was a mistake, and it's going to be, oh yeah, no, we didn't mean that. Here are your 4 choices. What do you want to play?
Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of scanning. I commented on that blog because I was like, please tell me this is an error. I'm not seeing a response yet from their group, but
well, it's been a long time since Tanis wrote that first one, right?
Yeah, that's true. And they are having a little bit of growing pains. They did just split off the ACG organized play from the main Pathfinder Society, ostensibly so it could be its own entity and get more attention, but it feels like they're getting less attention now. They do have somebody who's dedicated to it, but that person, I don't know if they just didn't give them enough time to work on it or haven't had a chance to really set it up yet. But we're not getting a special the way it was worked into the special at Gen Con last year, along with the RPG specials. That was a little disappointing. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot. They did say they're going to do an open, but
yeah,
that there's supposed to be a new season coming. So I don't know. We'll have to look and see. I mean, after all the effort they put into revamping and re-releasing this game, I mean,
yeah,
I think they want to
have a bunch of support at the con.
Yeah,
I guess we'll see what happens. Wait a minute. Was the Wizard? Well, no, not it was the PaizoCon last weekend.
It's this weekend.
This
coming weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why they're not replying to anything. They're way backed up working on that.
That is a good point, and that would be nice. I hope so. Maybe they're not worried about Gen Con just yet.
Yeah, and I'll be scouting things out at Origins as well to see what's going on over there.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, Origins.
Yeah, that's coming up first.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got our tickets for the open. We got our tickets for a 2 dungeon run, and I've got an escape room, a new game called Wingspan that Brian found.
Ooh.
That's going to be a weird one, but it should be fun. We got into another D6 Star Wars, same company running an event. I couldn't find any continuation of the previous story. It looks like they've jumped ahead a bit, but they said you can run the same character, so that's fine. Yeah, we'll see what we can get into. Should be interesting.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing how it goes. I'm still not sure if I'm going to join you or not. I did find a rage. I don't know if we've talked about that or not, but I was going to volunteer for True Dungeon. I put it in my application, and I put all this big long resume and everything to be either an NPC or a GM, and it was heavily implied that it would very likely happen, and then I didn't hear anything before the deadline. They said everybody will hear everything by this date, and that was like 2 weeks ago. Like, well, I guess I'm not going, and I haven't heard anything back, to my query about, hey, did I get in? Am I not getting in? Are you not telling people that they didn't get in? And so just assume, okay, I guess that's not it. And then today, of course, the day after all the event tickets have all been sold out, I hear back from them like, oh yeah, I don't know, somehow that got overlooked. I think we could fit you in. So they're going to send me a schedule, and
okay.
I get to approve, accept or reject it, and whether or not I want to go for that. But it sounds like I have a place, maybe.
Well, it will be interesting to see what that schedule allows you to do around it, and whether or not you have a place to stay, I guess.
Yeah. Apparently that is included, I am told. So
All right.
we'll see where that is and how much that allows me to participate in other things. So I think the schedule will help. It's like, if it's going to be worth it to go, I mean, I think it'll be an interesting experience anyway. I'll just have to like accept that as my Gen Con. It's like, this is not, I'm going to Gen Con and I'm going to have time to play stuff. This is going to be, I'm going to go to True Dungeon and have that experience. And then maybe I'll see you guys.
Exactly. So thinking, if you're working odd hours, you're going to be sleeping during game time and trying to join us and not being able to stay up.
Yeah.
It's going to be rough.
Like, am I going to function?
Yeah. It's like something I could have done
that.
20 years ago, but not this year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Apparently they have people request back-to-back shifts so they can get their volunteering out of the way and then just be free for a couple of days. I'm like, how do you function after like doing a night shift and then a day shift and then
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, like you said, 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
All right. Well, I still am not seeing a response on that blog post, but well, hopefully maybe after PaizoCon they'll get more information about that out to us. What things are going to happen at Gen Con. But that sounds exciting. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. A couple of cons this summer, and I'm exhausted already, but it should be fun.
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right. I haven't mentioned the Star Trek game that I'm playing for a couple of episodes now, so I'm still in it. Still having fun with Fleet Command. Is that what this is? Fleet Command?
Yes.
Yeah. We just had a big event, a mining event, and the team I'm with came in 3rd overall, so that was fantastic. We got
we
got a bunch of just here's a bunch of resources because you guys harvested a bunch of resources. Okay. I got a bunch of like elite packs, and I'm at 81 on my way to Nero for 100. I feel like I just need to throw all my resources at getting that guy, but I'm still having a good time. I'm up to level 23, and I figure I'm going to sit here for a while and make sure everything's updated. I jumped to level 23 for I think there was one of those ops updates that I wanted to get because I was doing a lot. But I left a lot of my things. I still have some refineries that are 21, so I'm going to take a month and slowly build everything up. I had way too many resources starting like a week or two ago, so I've been shielded nonstop. And
oh wow!
Well, I had a couple of 3-day shields, which was perfect because I wasn't in port when I was on the boat. So I was like, all right, 3 days. I'll be back in 3 days.
Nice.
Everything's gonna be shielded until then. So that was great. Haven't been attacked, which is fantastic. But I'm running out of these 8-hour 8-hour shields that I throw up every evening, and then again when I wake up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got to spend these resources, otherwise they're just going to get taken away. I did manage to get a couple of those tokens that are worth 1 million, like par steel, so they can't steal that, which is fantastic.
Very nice. Yeah, that's
so
I wish you could. I wish you could buy those.
They were like available for like 30 seconds. And exactly.
I have 1 million. Like, can I trade this in for a coin? Like.
They when they first came out, you could buy. There was like a limit of 5, and I was like, I don't have anywhere near that. But when I get that much, it's gonna be fantastic. And then it went away. Yeah,
because that's like I'm like borderline right now because I was doing so well, and like you, I had so many resources, I could not spend them. I physically couldn't spend them because I like the other resource, the mined resource requirements were so high that I had to sit there and wait for that to catch up. And I finally got hit during a small bit of downtime, and now I can't even build that stuff up enough. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Yeah. I haven't gotten to that point yet. It again, it helps that I've got an active community that I'm playing with.
It just sucks that like one error like that, one lapse, and you're sunk.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
I don't know. Maybe if I can get up, I'm very I'm so close to getting I'm like 15 away from 3-star uncommon ore and 3-star uncommon gas to getting the prime shields and prime hull. And I'm like, if I can beef up my ships,
Yeah.
like, maybe that'll make this game more doable. But I just like have to survive long enough to do that. It's
Yeah. And from what I've read, they're great at lower levels, but as you advance, some people kind of wish they had those resources back, because it doesn't add. It's not like in Star Trek, where you can add all your bonuses first and then double it. It's You double the base stats, and then by the time you get to a higher level, the bonuses eclipse that by a lot.
Really?
Yeah, exactly.
Lame.
Yeah.
That just makes me like the game less.
Yeah. I did finally get the research in for those three things that are sitting next to the R&D, the armory and the whatnot, and they're just a couple of percent armor bonus, and then a bigger percent. One of them each gives like a 3% accrual bonus to a certain type. So one interceptor, one battleship, one explorer. So it's a couple points here and there. I think my North Star has gone up from 100 to 104. So
nice. Wow.
Yeah, still not enough to do my affiliation dailies because they're so high. But I'm still playing all the time, and I should turn it off more.
Nice. Yeah. Just circling back around real quick, I did find that blog post. Apparently I didn't see the response because I was scrolling down trying to find it later in the game, and it's actually later in the thread, but it's actually the very next response. Keith says, "That's an error. Sorry about that. Thanks for spotting it. Characters will be provided." So
good. I don't have to do any
craziness.
incredible research. All we have to do is play that game over and over again until we figure out how to beat it with. Because how would they do anything except characters from that set, right?
Oh, I'm sure. No, absolutely. If anything, I think it'll probably be there's 4 new characters that come out in Curse. So I would bank on it being those characters, because the other there's 12 in the base set, and they're all the ones with the exception of the new Goblin Alchemist. They're all new versions of the same iconic 11.
Okay,
so
that's a lot of characters.
Yeah, it's the same 11 characters that came out in Rise of the Rune Lords, but yeah, they're all new, revised versions plus the Alchemist, and so you get 16 when you get up to the 4 that come in Wrath or in Curse. So that's pretty cool. Get new blood.
I wonder if they're going to release new Ultimate with the new templates.
Man, I don't know. That's like the last thing that they released. It's been almost a year since they had product for this, and that was the last thing. I don't know if they would re-release something that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all supposed to be compatible. I'm sure that I don't know that they need to get out of there. And honestly, I don't think I want anything on the new templates.
Yeah, it's going to take some getting used to.
Yeah, like the only reason I think I would want it would be to clean up all of the language.
Yeah,
because I really do appreciate that. But it's not necessary. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah,
I'd rather have new stuff than going back and reprinting stuff.
Well, my thought was in the last year, it was maybe the last 2 years. Here's your deck. Here's the ultimate deck that goes with it. Make something out of all of this. Whereas
right.
There's no if they're going all new stuff, there won't be any templated stuff that would match it. Which it's supposed to be compatible, but visually, it's going to be weird to have a shuffling, a mishmash of all the different cards. Like playing backwards compatible cards in a 1E deck. It doesn't look, it's just glaring.
I would be surprised if they added the ultimates. I think this year it'll be, here are the 2 boxes, make your decks out of that. This is the new stuff. Use those and then move forward.
Yeah, what would be interesting is what they did the first year where here's fighter, cleric, rogue, thief, pick one.
Yeah.
And that's what you're playing with. And I think the second time around was, all right, now you're level 3, and you get to pick your deck from these cards. You know, it wasn't all the cards in the game, but it was this big pack of cards. And then the last one was, all right, now you're tier 6. You can pick your deck. You can pick your opening hand. Good luck. That took so much setup that, you know, I keep pinging Dennis every once in a while. Say, hey, how about you send that so we can, you know, we can play it sometime, especially on one of these boat trips. But apparently it's across several spreadsheets and just nigh impossible to put together because it was a heck of a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, there was a delay in getting the. I remember the boxes it took so much effort for them to set up. They were just sitting there working on it the whole time, and then, you know, between rounds they had to get it reset and then do the next round. And like, it was so cool how customized it was, and I still like aspire to that level of customizability for a custom game. But man, to go through all 3 boxes that existed at the time and pull, you know, certain combinations of cards from all, you know, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that was truly a big effort. All right. Anything else we want to talk about before we wrap this up tonight? I
don't think so. I think that's a pretty good pile of intelligence for this week, even though it's been a couple of weeks since we've been off. We'll have there's one more thing, apparently.
2 more things.
2 more things.
Number 1.
How long are you going to make this?
The Orville was renewed. So
yes,
excited about
season 3.
Number 2. Yeah. Did anybody locally go see the DS9 movie documentary?
Oh, I did not, but I think there was supposed to be a group.
I read some things about what they announced would have been season 8, you know, like 20 years later, and it was really interesting. So let's research that, bring it back next week, and try again.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that. I'd be curious to find out what platforms it's going to be on now.
Yeah. Okay. Now we can.
All right. Okay. Well, now that's apparently any more intelligence. Are you sure? All the intelligence we have for this week. Hopefully we'll see some of you at Gen Con, and hopefully all of you got the events that you wanted. I think there's probably still some Star Trek tickets available. Might be one of the only events that is still available at this time. You know, 24 hours, 30 hours after tickets went on sale.
Daddy Pants.
Okay.
I got my ticket for the Austin Powers Worlds again.
Enjoy. In the meantime, I am Sir Rogue.
And I have to defend my title. I'm Sir Dan.
God, we're so done. And I will remind you all to defend your daddy pants in the universe.
New card stand.